Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story, again, I'm sure you guys already know what the first story is going to be, judging by how many people messaged me about this. So, Phil Heath attempting to break the internet over these past 2 days. Yesterday, posting that impressive physique update on his page. The ab shot, and then, of course, the side tricep shot on his story. This time, his story becoming the talk of the town. And this time, again, showing off his midsection. This time we get a video of him flexing his abs in the mirror, kind of showing off the new, downsized, more streamlined version of Phil's physique. Now, to be fair, I do think his midsection looks downsized. I don't think it looks as big as it once did, and that could be a combination of eating less, losing weight, and maybe a different style of training depending on what he's preparing for. But I will say I do think the hernia surgery scar is a lot more noticeable where they put the mesh in this video than it is in the picture. I think it's a lot more apparent kind of in the center there. But again, Phil leaves us wondering, why? Why is he looking so streamlined, so downsized, so much improved compared to how he looked, in my opinion, last year on stage? So I'll also share with you guys Phil's response to my comment on his last post. So this was the post on his actual timeline, the ab shot. So on that post, I said, "What does this mean, bro?" In response to the caption that he had on that post and the fact that he's looking how he's looking and he's posting what he's posting. And he responded and said, "Needed some time to get life in order like we discussed in private. Thanks for the coverage, and I'm sure I'll post up more soon." So again, really just kind of a mystery at this point, what Phil is preparing for, other than the fact that he says it's something that we wouldn't expect. So maybe it is a bodybuilding show, maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Olympia, maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Arnold, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a movie role, TV role, some kind of acting role. Like I said in my last video, when Schwarzenegger became an actor, they wanted him to downsize. They wanted him to look muscular, but they didn't necessarily want him to look like a bodybuilder competing on the Olympia stage. And maybe it's a similar thing for Phil. And through that downsizing process, maybe that has helped kind of streamline his midsection. Because to me, it certainly does look like his midsection is improving. From a size standpoint, it looks like it is getting smaller and less distended. And I think that's pretty evident in a lot of the posts that he's posting. But again, as always, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Why do you think Phil is looking so good? Like I said, in my opinion, I think he looks better than, from a condition standpoint, some of the guys that are prepping for Tampa, and we don't even know what he's prepping for. He honestly looks like he could be just mere weeks out from a show. And again, the Arnold is like 8 weeks away. The Olympia is still like 10 weeks away. He's got plenty of distance between now and any of those shows that we would expect him to do. And Athleticon, I think, is pushed back till spring. Again, Athleticon was kind of a whole it was a whole debacle. It was supposed to happen back in 2020. It got pushed back to 21, and now it's being pushed back. It's essentially being pushed back almost 2 years. So quite a significant setback for that event. Of course, you've got the Icon World Classic Bodybuilding show happening at Athleticon, which is under the Rock's brand. So I guess that's a possibility as well, but that's still pretty far off in the future. And I would hold off on making predictions about Athleticon until we actually know for sure that it is going to happen, because so far, both times that it's been scheduled, it hasn't happened. Now, next up in the news, James Hollingshead physique update. 10 weeks out from the Olympia. Minor setback for a major comeback. James Hollingshead was sick for the past 10 or so days. I believe he took exactly 9 days off of training. So he had a little bit of a hitch in his giddy-up for his Olympia prep. Now, judging by the looks of this physique update, I don't think that was going to be any type of significant setback. I think James looks fantastic. Most of the physique updates that I've seen from James, I think he looks fantastic. And again, I think we can all appreciate a bodybuilder that shares every step of the way of the process and prep for a big show like the Olympia. And James has been one of those guys week after week posting workout videos, week after week posting physique updates, whether he's sick or not, posting physique updates. Now, he does say that this is 10 weeks out, and the next update he will post probably won't be until 6 or 7 weeks out from the Olympia. So I found that interesting as well. But James is a dark horse for me. I think James has the potential to crack the top 6 at the Olympia. He's a guy that I think a lot of people might not expect to do a lot of damage on the Olympia stage, and I think he does have the advantage of the fact that he qualified so early for the Olympia. A lot of these other guys, they're competing like all season to get to the Olympia. Some of these guys that still have yet to qualify are going to be doing 4, 5, 6 shows by the time the season's over, trying to get there on points. And then again, some of these guys trying to peak for the Arnold a couple weeks before the Olympia. James has kind of had what I feel is the distinct advantage of qualifying early and only having to focus on peaking for the Olympia and having an entire year to do just that. Really, more than a year to do just that. Now, another guy that's 10 weeks out from the Olympia, 8 weeks out from the Arnold Classic USA, Nick Walker. One of the more exciting young prospects in bodybuilding. A lot of guys are excited to see Nick Walker make his statement, make his mark on the Olympia stage after winning the New York Pro in a really dominant, impressive fashion for such a young guy with such potential in the IFBB. And a lot of people cannot wait to see what Nick is going to be able to do on the Olympia stage for his first time around. And based on what we're seeing so far, he certainly looks on track to do some damage at the Arnold and then 2 weeks later do some damage at the Olympia. And hopefully, like I've said before, he brings as good, if not better, he's going to need better conditioning on the Olympia stage than New York. New York, I think, was a really good look for Nick. I think from a conditioning standpoint, improvements all around from how he looked at the Chicago Pro last year where he made his pro debut. And I think for the Olympia, the size that Nick has, he's a mass monster. He's got all the size in the world. If he can bring better conditioning than he had at the New York Pro, prejudging specifically to the Olympia, I feel like he's going to be positioning himself really good within that top 10. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for Nick Walker. I think he is a really impressive talent. As long as he keeps his midsection in check during the transitions, I've seen that become an issue during some of the longer posing rounds that they put him through at New York. But I do think it was even more of an issue at Chicago. So I think between his pro debut and New York, he kind of improved upon that, and it wasn't as big of a deal in New York. So as long as he keeps that going, I think he should be fine on that front. But conditioning in the midsection are my only 2 real concerns for Nick Walker, but I am excited to see him on that Olympia stage. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, Iain Valliere posting a physique update now just 1 week away from the Tampa Pro, where, as I've said multiple times, I believe Iain is the favorite to win that show. And I would expect, even with Rolly Winkler in that lineup, I think we're going to see a very competitive, very interesting call-out, and we're probably going to see Iain and Rolly get compared very heavily, and this is going to be a call-out that comes down to conditioning. Rolly noticeably off last week at Chicago. Noticeably not the same version of Rolly that we have been used to seeing. Iain Valliere struggled a bit with conditioning at the Tampa Pro, and I think even at the New York Pro, which he won last year, conditioning still wasn't the strongest for him. Now, he looked a lot better at the Olympia. His conditioning was a lot more on point. So that's what I'm going to be looking for from Iain at the Tampa Pro. I really like his physique, but I think it's really going to come down to conditioning and really how much improvement Rolly has been able to make from Chicago to Tampa. That's going to be the big deciding factor. If Rolly looks about the same as he looked in Chicago, I think Iain is going to give him a really, really hard time at this show. If Rolly looks like he's improved significantly, there's a chance that Rolly comes in and walks all over this lineup because we've seen Rolly make drastic improvements before. I believe it was 2018, the Arnold Classic Australia. He had done the Arnold Classic USA just a couple weeks before that, and he didn't look as impressive, and then he came into the Arnold Classic Australia looking like a whole different person. And then he won that Arnold Australia. So Rolly can make big changes in short time, and that's what we're going to be looking for in Tampa. Condition from Iain, condition from Rolly, and how much improvement did Rolly make. But right now, I'm looking at Iain as my favorite to win Tampa. But as always, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a massive thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you have not already. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.